The Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Seaboard Networks.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, as always. And as always, we want to thank you so much for joining us. We are in basically kind of like part 4 of kind of wrapping up our trip to Alaska and all the fun we had. And of course, like on our trip for the show, we had to save what I think is the best for last. And our visit going from Fairbanks to Denali, the last day on our trip, and the adventures we had there, and some honest thoughts around that, because up until this point we had spent I think the last 8 days, 7 days,
7 days,
exploring everywhere from Anchorage down to the Kenai Peninsula and Kenai Fjords National Park. We saw whales. We went to Wrangell St. Elias and did a rough backcountry road. You know, John Denver would be very proud.
He would be. We saw so much wildlife up to this point. We had seen moose right out the gate and continue to see it daily. On our trip from Wrangell up to the Fairbanks area, we saw our first caribou, which was a really incredible moment for us. And we've seen so many other just random types of wildlife. One of the things I didn't know was that there's apparently a lot of porcupines in Alaska, and we encountered our first porcupine, I think, the day before this. So we'd had a great trip, and we were wrapping it up with spending a day at Denali National Park.
It's hard to believe how many miles, that we actually covered, and I haven't added them up yet, but it had to be at least, I want to say at least 1,000 miles on the road.
Probably
way more than that.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit different than I think most people experience it. Probably through cruises. I think that's where a big bulk of the tourism comes from for Alaska. But we decided rent a car, go and see the interior of the state. A lot of places people never get to reach.
Right.
And even though it was a little early in the season, so we didn't quite see everything on our wildlife list. But we were hoping that going to Denali, our very last day was the very first day of the new season for Denali and their wilderness tours, their wildlife tours.
Right.
So we were kind of hitting it at just this time. So we were hoping for one more chance to see some bears, to see a little bit more wildlife before we left. So to kick things off, just a quick reminder, we had just spent a couple of nights in the kind of sort of fun North Pole area. If you listen to, I think, episode 166 of our show, we had mixed feelings on North Pole. I won't get into all of that, but it was lovely. And then Fairbanks, actually, I think we liked a little bit more than we thought we would. Yeah,
I agree. I didn't have much expectations for Fairbanks, and it was better than I thought. I'm interested in going back.
Yeah. Especially like during, I think, deep winter time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people flock there for the Northern Lights and different things like that. So that would be interesting. And I feel like it would be totally different, like a totally different experience.
Agree.
And also we learned a great deal about like the Iditarod races and some history there and everything. So it was really fascinating to kind of open up to Fairbanks a little bit and go on the riverboat discovery tour.
Yeah, that was neat.
To go down the Chena River and see all the different things that they have. I don't want to ruin it for you. Go back and listen to the episode. And thank you for all the subscribers and everything else that we have on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Leave a review, 5 stars. Anything less than 5 stars, I want to tell you the show name is Rick Steves Europe. Leave all those reviews there. So we're leaving at this point. We're leaving Fairbanks. We stop at a place. We want to grab something to eat before it gets too much later. And of course, this is during the midnight sun season. So later doesn't mean the sun is setting
No.
It just means something on a clock. So we're getting ready to leave. And on the Chena River, when we were on the riverboat Discovery, they pointed out the famous Pump House.
Yeah, a restaurant. And I had seen signs for it, and I didn't quite understand why it was in tour guides, magazines, why there was a big sign on the highway for it. But from the riverboat, they had said it was actually an old pump house from Alaska's gold rush era that they have now turned into a restaurant. So we stopped in there, and it was really good food. Really good.
Yeah, it was sensational. I think the only thing they were missing, because it kind of has this lodge feel.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing they were missing, unless I just totally missed it, was like a roaring fireplace.
I didn't see one, but it was a very large restaurant, and we only went into the front section, so it's possible.
It's possible they have one. So I don't want to say they don't have one, but in the section we were in, I was like, you know what's missing?
Yeah.
There's a giant fireplace going
But they had
right
so
now.
much historical stuff on the walls,
Yeah.
and I think they even had a taxidermied bear in a case right there when we walked
It did.
in.
I took a picture with it. But the pump house is like from the gold rush era. And so it has all this history, like you said, like kind of locked into it. I don't know if it's still in the same original location, like the building is.
I feel like they said it was.
Okay.
But
So in that case, mazel, go there, check it out. Delicious food and everything. And so we needed to hit the road though pretty quick. We were driving a couple hours down to a small area called Healy, which is about 15 minutes outside of Denali National Park. And this is where like all the towns start having lodges and everything else. And that's basically all you see are like gas stations and lodges, stations, lodges.
exactly.
But it was still a couple of hours, so a bit more beautiful drive. Down the coastal area, you see a lot of forest. Really surprising. I don't know what I was looking for when we were heading down this highway, but it was very green. Everything was just kind of alive, and it was just another one of these awesome drives we're on.
Yeah.
And we're talking, having a time, and we hit. There's a lot of, I imagine because of the long winters, they don't do a lot of like road construction during those winter times.
Right.
They save it for like when everything kind of thaws out. So around this time, there's a lot of road construction going on.
Yes.
And I do have a point here.
Okay.
We get to, I don't know if you remember this. I'm sure you do. We get to this place where they have traffic stopped.
Yes.
And they're leading people through and everything, vehicles through, but traffic is at a standstill and we're waiting our turn, and it happens to be a really long stop.
It was.
Like we stopped for,
I remember
how
this.
long
I
did-
was driving at this point, and I think you were kind of napping in and off, and I think we sat there not moving at least 45 minutes.
yeah, it was a while. And about this time, I don't want to embarrass myself, but I feel like it's a real thing because there's not a whole lot out there. If you leave going west from Fairbanks down to like Healy and the Denali area, the towns are very few and far between.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is important because I started feeling in my stomach a pain. Now, for travelers, I mean, you and I have traveled a lot of places a lot of time. And usually I can iron stomach things through. But there are times where I have a very sensitive stomach.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming the pump house. I'm not blaming them at all, even though we just talked about it. I think it was just like 7 days of good luck of having a really good stomach. I think my stomach just started rebelling. And I instantly just wake up from a dead sleep and we're sitting in line and I'm like, Amy, this traffic has to start moving or we got to turn back. Like we got to go back to Fairbanks or something because things are afoot.
And I think at this point we're about an hour outside of Fairbanks. And I just want to clarify, you said coastal area. This is not coastal area. This is forest. But on the highway, it's not so dense that you could go into the forest and have your facilities. It's a bit open. So
and we're all of an older generation. I don't think there's any young kids listening to this. I have the meat sweats at this point. I am sweating profusely. And I'm just telling you, I'm like, oh my God, like there's a line full of cars here now. I might have to dash into the woods.
But it's going to be a long dash, as
it's going to be a long dash because, the trees are far apart.
Right.
But miraculously, the traffic starts moving.
Yes.
But it's not a short drive either. Mm-mm. It's like miles and miles of like construction.
Yes.
And as we go, I'm just getting worse and worse. And it's alternating between my stomach is turning and I might everywhere on like the side of the car or something.
Yeah.
It was not a good, happy feeling. Mm-hmm. And you're doing your best not to laugh at me. Amy does her best not to laugh at me in these situations, but even I'm starting to laugh, which is not good. No. In those situations. You can't be convulsing because your body doesn't know the difference.
Exactly. And we look up how close is the nearest gas station, and it's a good hour away from us.
It was about 45 minutes, and there was no guarantee that it was open.
Right. Because it was so late.
It was late in the day, even though it was total sunshine, late in the day, and it was early in the season. And a lot of these shops in these little towns are very seasonal.
Right. They're not open yet.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is how Old Germ dies.
Right.
So we finally, like a miracle, out of the road, there is a rest area. And I was like, rest area. I got to go to the rest area. They have a bathroom. And I don't know if you've ever used the bathroom in a rest area on the side of the road.
I try not to.
It's not something I recommend. I'm amazed that they don't put it in the pamphlets. Like we have the best rest areas because they're all just horrible places. But I had to do this. And I don't know if you've never done that and have a breeze blow up different because how these things.
Thankfully, first we had a pack of baby wipes, Clorox wipes in the car, and you were like, "I'm taking these with me because I don't know what I'm getting into in this rest stop." And it's not like a big building; it's literally like 2 bathroom stalls on the side of the road.
And I don't know what was going on, but the first one was occupado. And the second one I was dying in, and then I felt like at least one person come up and shake the door, and I couldn't. I was just like, I couldn't even answer.
Right.
I
think it was another man in the same situation because I'm parked a few spots away watching another man desperately trying to get into the rest stop too.
It was it's just this awful feeling between like shame and like. I can't quite. You got to go take a shower.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, people think our life is so glamorous because we travel so much.
Sometimes.
But this is the reality of it.
If you've ever had a situation like that, hit us up, unscaledtravelshow.com. Let me know. Have you been in that situation too? Because it ain't pretty. Anyway, we finally made it to Healy, to the Great White Moose Lodge. And that's a whole thing in itself. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in Sin City, Las Vegas, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. And I am embarrassing myself on air talking about this. Just like giving people real factual reviews of places. Mm-hmm. I think it's important from time to time to tell people, like, travel is not always glamorous. Mm-hmm. And we are not always put together. And in fact, if you want to put together a show, Rick Steves does something nice. Samantha Brown has a really nice show where they're always put together and nothing bad ever happens in their worlds.
Everything's lovely.
That's not this show. That's not on scale. This is real, man. Because not only did the bathroom thing happen, it happens. It's horrible. But we go to this place and we're at this. It's called the White Moose Lodge. Mm-hmm. The White Moose Lodge was fine for what it is. It was just a cheap little stay, right outside the park. And compared to some of the other places around there that were charging like $300 and $400 a night, this place was not. Gave you free Wi-Fi. The room was clean. Yeah. And the people were nice. The front desk people were very attentive and everything else. Everything was just on a lean.
Yeah, the whole building, I think, was tilted.
I think it was singing.
Something. It was tilted.
I woke up in the middle of the night just pressed against the wall, just like all the way against it. Anyway.
But it was fine for what it was, as you said, and it was inexpensive, and we needed to be close to Denali because, as you said, the next day was opening day of their tour buses. And we had booked the Tundra Wilderness Tour bus. Yeah. The first one out, we thought. 6 o'clock in the morning. I want to preface this by saying when you book this, they tell you, you're on this time frame, but it tells you to call in 24 to 48 hours beforehand, and they'll tell you what time to show up because they have multiple buses and they're going to board by bus. So we did this 2 days beforehand. I call. I got the email first, and it said, one thing said, you need to arrive by 5:40 to board your bus. And then lower down, it said, arrive by 5:20 to board your bus. So I called them. Very nice lady. And she says that she apologized for there being 2 different times and that we needed to be there for the 5:20, that we had been approved to get on the first bus out. So I was like, okay. Yay. So with us arriving into Healy late, we knew we needed a place that was close to Denali because we were going to be up early to get on that bus. So that's why we chose the White Moose Lodge. And again, it was fine for what it was. I think we got about 3 hours of sleep before we were frantically packing our stuff because we thought we were going to be late. It was 5 o'clock in the morning and we needed to be at the Denali bus stop to get on our bus at 5:20, we were told.
Yeah, so we, ran over a couple of things. I think some chipmunks or something on the way there. R.I.P. chipmunk, Chippendale. But we get there, and it kind of totally wasn't the case.
No.
Number one, the visitor center wasn't even open yet.
There was only one other car in the whole parking lot.
Yeah, when we met a gentleman, very nice guy, who's a photographer. He was camping out there, and they actually knew him by name. So I guess he spends a lot of time out there photographing bears and stuff. Really nice guy. We were there super early. Turns out we didn't need to be there super early because we weren't on
the first bus.
We weren't on the first buses at all. There were like 2 or 3 buses that came before, and we were, I think, didn't need to be there till about almost 6.
Yeah.
Well, we just kind of walked around for like an hour.
Yeah, as you said, the visitor center wasn't even open. We waited until 5:30 when it did open, and then we find out we're on the second or third bus. And so they have all the different buses lining up outside. And I will be honest, I was a bit disappointed in the way it all went down. Because when our bus showed up, apparently it also had picked people up at one of the other local resorts. So the bus was already halfway full. So there weren't a lot of available seats for us to get on. And it felt a little bit like, how do I say this? Like we got screwed over. We kind of just had to take whatever seat was available, and it was fine. But,
at 5 a.m., it's not fine.
When you've already showed up early, I was not happy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I try to see the other side of it and say, maybe it's just, since it was the first buses, maybe there was a little clerical mix-ups or just timing mix-ups or something or whatever. I mean, we still made the bus. There was one lady who had booked with her friends that was beside us, and remember,
yes,
they weren't even allowing her to go on the bus. They were like,
her friends didn't show up or something,
or like something like that, where like there were 6 people and 5 of them were on one bus and she was on another bus.
Yeah, that lady. They put them on 2. They broke the group up between 2 different buses. Yeah,
but she was the only one.
Exactly.
Like the other 5 were on one and she was on a different one. So we didn't have that problem. So whatever. I think at that point you and I would have just went on different buses. But
probably.
So the Tundra Wilderness Tour. I think the first question out of the gate people want to know is it worth it? To me, yes, with an asterisk. I say with an asterisk because for us, we had already been in Alaska for 7 days and we had driven over 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
And we had been in the back country, in the backwoods, in the back outdoors, and in the city areas. We lost count after we saw our 30th moose. Moosey, whatever the name is. We lost count after that. We had already seen a number of porcupine, a number of bald eagles. We've seen whales, Dall sheep up close. Had seen all this wildlife. And to see all of that and then get on a wilderness tour, for us, it was a little bit of a letdown because we didn't see all that much in the early part of the season.
Yeah.
And I have to preface that too, because it is the early part of the season in Denali. So like, as soon as we get on the bus, our bus driver, who was very nice and just very talkative.
He loves his job.
He loves his job. Good for him. At 5 a.m. it was a little annoying, but that's okay.
Jeremy had not had coffee this morning.
I had not. I'm sorry. I sound like a curmudgeon, and I am. But like, we didn't see all that much. I think at the very end, we saw some moose. Mm-hmm. We saw a couple porcupine, some red foxes that we had not seen.
That was cool. Yes.
And a red fox had actually caught breakfast. Yeah. So he was running around with a little something in his mouth. And then a couple of, like, we saw some Dall sheep off. We saw some caribou.
We did see caribou.
Which, I mean, we saw caribou up close and personal on the Richardson Highway, in the middle of the road. So at that point, there was nothing we hadn't really seen. And so,
except a bear. And
I don't mean to say, it sounds like we're almost spoiled by all the wildlife we had seen up to that point. So I think if you do it first, or if you're on a cruise and you hadn't seen anything, I think the wilderness tour is an amazing thing. You should absolutely do it. Or if it's later in the season when they know kind of like bear and things like that are active. But when you first get on the bus in the morning, the guy's like, well, it's really early in the season. I doubt we're going to see anything good.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, wow.
Why did I pay all this money for this tour?
Because, the wilderness tour is also not cheap.
Well, and let me say that there's different buses and tours that you can take. There's 2 different narrated tours, the Tundra Wilderness being one. The other, I want to say, is the history tour. They do also have just transit buses that are considerably cheaper, but there is still a cost. They are not narrated, but they basically do the same thing. They drive you through the park. They'll stop if they see wildlife. But with the transit buses, you can get off if it's a spot where they allow you to get off. Because with so much wildlife, there are places you're not allowed to get off the bus. Right. But with the transit ones, you can get off and on. So if it's in a place where they allow that, so you're not stuck on the same bus. Or they have a free shuttle for the first 15 miles. Because the thing about Denali is it's open to public transport for 15 miles. But then after that, you cannot get into the park unless you are on one of these buses or you have like a camping permit. So the only way to really see Denali, the national park, is on one of their buses. And everybody told us this wilderness tour is incredible. You have to do it. I think, though, as you said, I agree. If we did this first, it probably would have been incredible. But it felt a little bit like a letdown because we had already had so many great wildlife encounters that it was almost like, people were like, oh my gosh, there's a moose. And we're like, yeah, we've seen moose.
Yeah, that's like number 50 for us. And we've seen them like right up close,
Yeah.
And man, it sounds like I'm discouraging people from doing this. No, I just want you to be aware of, yes, the season thing is true. If you're early in the season, the bears aren't quite as active. The moose and everything, I mean, they're all coming down from wherever they spent the winter, and coming out from wherever they spent the winter. And like you mentioned, Denali is not like other national parks. You can't just drive everywhere you want to go and see and do whatever you want to do. Private vehicle access is very, very limited. So you have to kind of understand that as well. So like, if you're going to do this first, or if this is like the highlight, absolutely. Yeah. But if you're going to go spend any time anywhere else, like, I think you might want to just, I don't know, consider at least weigh your options back and forth.
Or maybe you go and you do more of the hiking or something, and you maybe don't do the wilderness tour itself. We did see a lot of like bear tracks because our driver was very good at spotting different things. And we pulled over, there were bear tracks on the side of the road. He saw some scat at one point, but we did not see any actual bears. We really didn't see that many moose. We saw a ton of birds. And I think our driver was a birder, if that's what they're called, because he really liked to stop and look at birds. Are they
called birders or peepers?
I don't know. But he really, really enjoyed stopping for birds. And then it kind of got like to the point where everybody on the bus is like, okay, yeah, we've seen birds.
We got the bird.
What else is there to see?
Yeah, it's just something to keep in mind through all of that. And a few years ago, there was a really big, devastating landslide called the Pretty Rocks landslide. And it was massive, and it damaged the park road. The back area of the main road that the buses go on hasn't been accessible for years, the last few years now. But now they have a new bridge that they've kind of constructed around the landslide area that's finally going to be opening up this year at some point.
Right.
I think they're doing the final tests, like the weight tests and everything else for it, and getting it all cleared, but it is going to be opening at some point this season, which will allow these buses to get even farther into the park, which I think will open it up more to see, these animals that aren't coming in close or whatever, they're going to be out there, which I think is amazing. So I think the next time you go, or the next time we go, if we do it again, it would be a totally different trip because of the access and everything else.
Especially if we go later in the season.
Yeah.
Because we were told,
I would highly recommend
we were
that.
told that part where the landslide is like the most habited, like, of bears in the whole park. So we just didn't happen to see any.
They were just out doing their thing, man. They're,
They were
doing
hiding from us.
strength training for the long season ahead. But yeah, so seasons do matter. Reservations matter. Go online, do all that. Keep it right here on Scale Travel Show. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer.
Hello.
We're in beautiful Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. So thankful to our friends over at Diamondback Land Surveying for supporting the show from the very beginning. I have to talk to Trent and Lisa about their recent trip to Ireland. I know he went there for his birthday. Gonna have to see what that trip was all about, right?
Yeah. Sounds incredible.
So, but we're not in Ireland. We're talking about Denali and our trip in Alaska. And then, I think the Tundra Wilderness Tour gets a lot of the attention and a lot of the love, like straight out the gate. And it should. I think, again, like if you hadn't done it the way we did it, you first go in there, you see moose. A lot of people see bear. I mean, we ran into a number of people, met a number of people that up to that point, they were in different areas of the park. And then like right after we got back, they were seeing bear everywhere.
Yeah.
Which makes me just kind of
I know. I was jealous, but we did get to see something a lot of visitors don't get to see. And that is actually the Denali mountaintop. What is it? Only 1 in 3 visitors
they
get
call
to
it,
see it or something?
They have a club for it. They call it the 30% club.
Yeah.
Only 30% of people that actually go to Denali see the top of the mountain Denali.
The peak of it.
Because it's usually covered in clouds or fog or, something like that. And look at that. We joined a club because we got some pictures clear as day. Or it was actually half of it was like covered.
Half of it was covered and one half wasn't. For like 5 minutes we got to see
creating just beautiful, dramatic things because the sun was coming up because it's the first thing in the morning. And sunlight's coming in, just pouring in. And it was beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. So we were lucky there.
Which doesn't come across on my iPhone.
I know.
I got a bone to pick with Tim Cook. But if you have like one of those really nice cameras, like people were just snapping photos and they were like, this is so good and so dramatic.
I know.
And I was like, thank you for whispering. It's very early. So yeah, we are part of the 30% club with Denali, which is so awesome. But there are also other things you can do. You mentioned the shuttles and the transit buses that kind of take you around to different parts of the park. And one of the areas that's really popular is they're the only national park in the United States that has an active sled dog team. And teams
Multiple
of dogs.
Teams, yeah.
And we get to go there and talk to some of the handlers and staff and meet some of the dogs. And every day they do a few of the actual demonstrations. They show you how they train the dogs, and they show you that by like hooking a few of the dogs up to one of their test vehicles, or I guess workout vehicles, and like the dogs pull a person and the machine around or whatever, and it's such a fun thing.
It really was. I had no idea when we went that they have their own kennel for sled dogs, and so when we heard that on the tour, I was like, oh, I want to do that, thinking that it was probably something else we needed to sign up for in advance or have reservations for. But no, at a certain time of the year, which this was opening day basically for this season, it's the sled dog kennel is just open. You can just go over there and see the dogs. So we did go early for the demonstration and walked around, and they had a litter of puppies over on the side, and these dogs were so dang cute. I just wanted to cuddle them so bad. I think there were 6 in that little litter. But then outside of that, I think there were 24 other active sled dogs there that you can walk around. Yeah. Some are in enclosed kennels, and then some are more in an area where you can actually reach out and pet them and just see them kind of hanging out with each other. And it was so much fun. I loved it. I was so excited to finally get to see sled dogs because we had seen some from afar. Yeah. We've been by 2 other kennels and seen the dogs from the street, but we had not actually been able to interact with any until this point.
So you'll notice if you're planning your trip to Alaska and you're starting to look at excursions, you will see a number of kennels around Alaska, depending on where you are. They offer excursions where you can go in and just like meet the dogs all year round. Well, I think maybe not in the deep winter, but like summertime and everything when they're training, you can pay and go just like meet the dogs and like interact with the dogs or whatever. But if you go to Denali, understand that they have one and you can just go, like you said, and pet the dogs and everything else. And we went in the early afternoon. We were going to go for, I think there was a 1:40 p.m. demonstration where they were going to do this. But we got there a little early to talk to the staff and everything. And these dogs were they were worn out. It was nap time. Everyone was asleep. The puppies were, puppies are puppies. And they have them, they're all in different generations. You have the dogs that have been there for the last few seasons, dogs that are coming up, they're going to be the next leaders, and you get puppies that they're starting to train now. And dogs are so cute. The puppies they fell asleep where they were.
They did.
Like 2 of them were like face first against the fence. One was on a slide.
Yeah, they had like a little kid's playhouse area with a slide, and one of the puppies was on the slide.
He was so chubby. And I was like, how is he staying just in the middle of this? And he was just all out, just paws up in the air. And they weren't moving. They were not moving for anyone. Like, people were walking up, calling them, and they didn't even open an eye.
They didn't twitch, nothing.
Nothing. So they were so, so tired and so asleep. These are working dogs, by the way. And the other dogs were on their kennels. Yeah. Most of them asleep. Some of them looking around and everything. But you made a couple of friends. Like one of them walked out to you and just like plopped on the ground and showed you her stomach, and it was just like, here, you can pet my stomach, and you were like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, that was so sweet. I don't remember what that one's name was because every litter they give them all similar names, so I think that might have been one of the litters where they all had like named after weather conditions or something, like stormy and that kind of stuff.
Tempest.
Yes, but like so that. Cute. There were a few that wanted nothing to do with people. They were just like curled up in front because each had their own little doghouse. And so they were just curled up in front of their doghouse, and it was roped off. So if they were in that area, you couldn't go over to them. They had to come to you at the edge of the rope. But a few were all about wanting to get the pets and the cuddles, and the other ones were like, nope, I'm done, because they had already had multiple demonstrations that day. And the kennel workers and volunteers take them for a walk every day too when it's not snowy, because they still want them all to get that exercise they usually get when they're in the winter. But I found it really interesting, as you were saying, being the only national park that has sled dogs, and we were kind of like, why? But when they started telling us about it, I was like, it kind of makes sense, because so much of the park is wilderness, and they have such heavy snow that they still the rangers still need to be able to check out the park in the heavy snow seasons. And the best way to do that, they found, and not disturb the other wildlife, is by dog sled.
Yeah. One of the young ladies that works there at the kennel, she was telling us, this is like the only park that has had a dog sled team of some sort from the very beginning. I think the park was created like in 1917 or something like that. But even before then, before Alaska was a state and the area was still protected, they used dog sled teams to go out. And all year round, she was saying they usually have science teams out there doing different stuff, research or whatever. They have different patrol areas, again, to, like you mentioned, to check on different wildlife and just check on the park in general. So they are constantly having dog sled teams go out with people, bringing supplies, bringing in medical things, bringing out food, doing whatever, all throughout the year. And it's really, and some of the things she was saying was like the areas that right now you can get through because of the roads and everything, you can't in the wintertime, but like you can, after like 2 or 3 feet of snow, we can drive right on, or sled right across the top of it and get to places that vehicles can't get to. And it's really just amazing to see it. And then when they were finally hooking the dogs up for the demonstration, all these people had poured in. There's a little standing area so you can kind of stand out of the way, because these dogs, let me tell you, man, they didn't have a full dog sled team hookup. They did what, 4 or 5 dogs?
4
6
dogs,
maybe.
Yeah.
And still 6 dogs with a sled with wheels, or was it like a 4-wheeler?
It was a 4-wheeler that they'd taken the engine out of.
They'd taken the engine off of, or whatever. These dogs haul butt.
Well, and first, as soon as the dogs see the kennel workers come to them with the leash, they all start going crazy because they want to get out there and do this.
I think that's the amazing part. Like, because we also saw a demonstration on the riverboat Discovery from Susan Butcher's team, the Trailbreaker kennel. We saw a demonstration with them. They were the same way. As soon as these dogs saw these leashes, they were going crazy because they want to mush.
They want to run.
They want to run. And in fact, I think Tekla and her team at Trailbreaker and the people at Denali said the same thing. It's not getting them to run. That's the easy part. It's getting them to stop.
Right.
That's where the real training begins and everything for these dogs. It's just in their blood. It's everything that they do. And it was amazing. There were families and kids of all ages there. Everyone had a good time seeing the dogs and interacting with them. So if you guys go to Denali, I highly, highly recommend make time for the dog sled demonstrations and everything else that they have there. So it's just the energy and everything is just amazing.
Right.
And actually, and getting around with the buses, because they keep a lot of the buses there. So once the demonstration's over, you have all these people filing back onto the bus and getting around the park. It was super easy after that.
Yeah. So from the visitor center, they have a bus that goes directly to the kennel area before and after every demonstration. But the other buses, as we were talking about, do make a loop, and this is one of their stops, along with the different trailheads and campgrounds and things like that. So you can get out there at any time, but if it's 20-ish minutes before a demonstration, there will be a dedicated bus from the visitor center over there, which we did go and stop in at the visitor center, get our souvenirs, as we always have to do, had lunch in their restaurant there, which was actually pretty decent lunch.
That's a good point, is that they do have a full service lunch cafe, an area. They had a couple of different souvenir places that sold everything under the sun there. We got some good stuff. But if you don't necessarily have to pack a lunch, they have a cafe, they have different snack things. So it's important to remember if you're there with little ones, or, need a sandwich or something like that. They had all kinds of stuff, man.
They did. They had hot counters. It was almost like a cafeteria. They had a hot area and a cold food area and like a snack area too. So all kinds of things.
All kinds of yummies. Oh man. Just thinking about those dogs again makes me smile.
They're so cute.
Oh, where's my dog at? I want to hug him. Keep it right here. It's Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-host, co-explorer Amy.
Hello.
We're in Sin City, Las Vegas, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studio. Sorry, we're having fun off the mic here. I reached out. she'd reach for something, and I went to like playfully slap at her hand. I actually smacked her hand right before we're going on air. So
he's mean sometimes.
I am curmudgeon-y.
You are curmudgeon-y.
We talked about the wilderness tour, and here's the great thing: like, even after we left Denali, like the animal sightings didn't just stop because we left Denali. Like right outside the gate, and people say this all the time about like if they're not even going to Denali, you spot wilderness, and wildlife wilderness, wildlife animals everywhere. Because as soon as we left. One, we saw a porcupine like hanging out in a tree.
He was curled up in a tree.
Yeah, he was
so
like
cute.
curled up at the top, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, look at that!" And then, like just a couple of feet like down the road, there were two moose just walking together.
There was, and then right past that, we saw a car parked on the side of the road. And typically on an Alaskan highway, if that happens, that means there are animals somewhere, and they're trying to get a shot of it. So we slowed down, and as we were going past this car, we look over to the other side of the highway, and there is an entire herd of caribou in this clearing. Yeah. So I went up a little bit and ended up making a U-turn, so we were on the other side of the highway, so you could get some video. But it was really cool to see that because we had already seen quite a bit, but I think we had a very up close encounter with one, and then we'd seen some herds in the distance. But this herd was, 50 feet away from us, and there were quite a few of them. But you know what I find interesting? It's a little factoid that we found out on the trip. The park wasn't established because of the mountain range. Denali National Park was established to protect the Dall sheep that were in the area. So I'm like, it really is a great place for wildlife sighting because that was the whole purpose of this park to begin with.
And you'll notice, like, for Denali and Wrangell, they're not just national park designations. They're national park and preserves, which might not seem like, anything on the surface, but they carry different federal protections for animals, trees, water, land, everything else in there. So, this is, it's right in line with knowing the history of the other parks and everything to know that it was really established to protect these sheep that were, like everything else, I think almost hunted to near extinction. Yeah,
exactly. And we did see Dall sheep in the park, a few different areas. They were very high up on the mountain, but with our trusty little binoculars, we were able to see them from the bus.
I think that would have been really magical had we not been on the Richardson Highway
and already encountered them
and saw a bunch of Dall sheep just hanging out on the road. And I went out there and kind of talked to them. I got out of the car and it was just like, "What's up, bros?" And they were just like, "Hey, what's up?"
It's midnight and I'm stopping the car and I'm like, "Go get a picture of them." And you just go walk on over to them and they're just looking at you like,
"Oh man,
hey,
we were talking, we were chilling." They called me some names. I got back in the car. Unscaled Travel Show. Right back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-grizzly, Amy.
Hello. I was waiting for you to say something else.
We're chatting about our recent trip to Alaska, the end of 8 days, the last day we spent in Denali. If you had to rank out of all the places we've been to, it's kind of putting you on the spot. If you had to rank our overall trip to Alaska, where would you put it?
I put it very, very high. And we kind of talked about this on a previous episode, but Alaska is one of those places that I always I want to go there.
Sure.
But I never really thought we would go. And just being there and seeing it in person, the beauty of it, as you said earlier, your phone didn't capture, the photos just don't do it justice. And I truly believe this is one of those places you have to see for yourself. And it made me emotional several times how beautiful it was. So I would say if it is not the top trip we've ever been on, it's tied with a few others that have been incredible. What about you?
You know what? I would say, I mean, it's definitely top 3
Okay.
for me. Maybe 2, very possibly number 1.
I know we've had some really incredible trips, so it's hard, and every trip's different, but it is definitely at the top for me. And it's one of those places we came back and I was already looking at when do we go back?
Yeah.
Because I want to go back. I want to see something different. Next time, maybe we do the cruise and we explore more of the southern coastline where Juneau is, that area. But I feel like Alaska had a lasting impression on me, and I definitely want to check it out more in the future.
Well, before we ended our trip in Alaska, we had one more place to visit before we had to fly out of Anchorage. We were on a red eye that night. Oh, the very last flight out for the night.
11:30 p.m. our flight departed.
Oh, my
so
God.
we started the morning super early at Denali.
An incredibly long day.
Did the whole bus tour, went to the kennels, and then we had a 2-ish hour drive, 2.5 hour drive back towards Anchorage. And but we had like 6 hours to kill. So we thought, let's find a little bit more local history to check out.
We did, and not disappointed. We went to a place on the way back to Anchorage that I think a lot of people discover once they get to Alaska. I don't think a lot of people know about it outside of there, but the Eklutna Cemetery in the Eklutna, village. It's this historical village, and it's kind of, I mean, I know it's 25 to 30 miles like northeast of Anchorage. And you'll pass it on the highway if you're going north of Anchorage and everything. But it's home to a people that are, I think their religion is, it's like Russian Orthodox. Something in there. And it's a faith that goes back to the 1700s, post whatever. But it's really... it really kind of stands out because their cemeteries are open. You can go see them. And, just like we build the crosses and some people have mausoleums, they build what they call spirit boxes, spirit houses, that they put over these grave sites that you can go check out. And some of them are so detailed. I mean, they are really works of art.
Yeah. So what's really interesting is that this area was inhabited by the Athabascan people. And then in the 1800s, when the Russian missionaries came over, some of the native communities adopted some of the Orthodox faith and maybe a little bit of vice versa. And that's kind of where this whole spirit house thing came from, was a blending of their two beliefs. So we had seen a photo of this cemetery and we're like, that's really interesting. We've never seen a cemetery like this before. So we decided to make the stop back there. And as all cemeteries are, it is a very somber moment, but it was very neat to see how they memorialize their people, because they didn't have headstones. Most of these, they have the spirit house instead, and each one is individually decorated for the person that it represents. So there were some that were all different colors and they had little trinkets on them, or inside the house, and the house had windows. There was one that looked like a beautiful house with like a front porch and a chimney. Every single one of them was different. And it was just I think it actually represents the person way more than just a slab of granite with a name carved into it.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit more personal too, because most of the time the families actually build these. Yeah. So it's how, your family chooses to remember you, and everything some of them you could see in the windows, like you said, had personal artifacts. They had pictures of the family, or they had little trinkets that belonged to the people. I think the one that pops up, like even if you go to Google Maps and you search for the Eklutna village, the picture that pops up is the nice house that you and I remember. It looks very intricate. I would almost guess like this was this person's house. Yeah. Because the husband, I think, was of a different faith, but was buried next to the wife. And he had a totally different thing than she did, but her home was like...
It was beautiful.
It looked like it was probably their house.
Yeah, like a large dollhouse.
Yeah, just gorgeous.
Replica. Yeah, it was really interesting to see that.
And we had seen some of it from afar. I don't know if you remember when we went to the village of Kenai on the Kenai Peninsula, right outside of their Orthodox, like Russian Orthodox church. There was an older cemetery too that they had some of the tall crosses and all of that, but a few of them had the spirit houses there as well. So we got like a small example of it there, and then when we went to the Ekletna village, was a larger presentation of it.
Yeah,
but it's it is an active cemetery. If you go by there, be respectful. I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but there's so many people out there that want to try to take things. Don't do that. Anyway, so getting back to the Alaska part, I mean, just recapping 8 days driving through Alaska, seeing it from a totally different angle than a lot of people see it from. Not that there's anything wrong with going via cruise ship or anything else like that. We saw a lot of that, and you have a good time either way. But was there a favorite part for you, like out of the 8 days?
There absolutely was. And we referenced it earlier in the show, but it was the day we went to Wrangell St. Elias, which that day in itself did not go the way we wanted it to. Yeah. But because of that, it put us off schedule, and we drove the Richardson Highway late in the evening, which the sun is still up, but it's starting to get dusk around 10:30, 11. And that was our encounter with our first caribou. And you have a video of us seeing it in the middle of the road and watching it walk off the road. And you can hear me in the background say, "It's a reindeer." Because I was so enthralled by this. But this was what I expected to see in Alaska. Just wildlife everywhere, encountering it at any moment. And here it was, an animal I'd never seen before in real life, right there on the highway in front of us. Yeah. What was your favorite moment?
I don't know if I have a singular favorite moment. I think Alaska is one of these places and one of these trips that it is what you make of it. We had things go perfectly. A bunch of days the weather held, which was something that was crazy because everyone said like we've had bad weather for like weeks and weeks, and now it's finally there's some sunshine. We're like, oh, I brought it with me. But even where we had our missteps, and again, you can go and listen back on our episodes. I think starting with episode 164 all the way to this one is our entire Alaska journey. And we had some missteps, we had some miscalculations, but we just kind of pivoted and we rolled with it. Some of it was a little frustrating, but it turned into greater adventures. Like you mentioned, the McCarthy Road debacle to going down the Richardson Highway. I mean, just all the different, even just having to get up after 3 hours of sleep and going into Denali, and just how magical that really was in the end. Our wilderness tour on the boat out of Seward, seeing Kenai Fjord National Park from the water and all the wildlife we saw there was just magical. And then even just that, I mean, we planned on going down to Homer. We got stuck behind some traffic. We pivoted. We went to Kenai, the city of Kenai, and saw all kinds of little villages, and we had a great day based off of that. It is just definitely one of these places that you just have to, I mean, like Bruce Lee said, man, you got to be like water. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to flow with things and just make the most of your time there. And I get so caught up in like, we got to get from point A to point B and blah, 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 blah. The whole trip came from, and if you've listened to previous episodes, we did an episode earlier in the year about the most scenic drives in the world. And that's where this whole trip for us came from, because the Seward Highway trip from Anchorage to Seward is considered one of the most scenic drives. After that, we recorded that episode. We're like, I want to see this. Let's go. And that's where this whole trip came from. And in the matter of a couple of months, we had booked this trip to Alaska. But I think for me, part of why it was so incredible was that I didn't have a ton of expectations. I knew I wanted to see this stuff. I wanted to see the state, but I didn't have this time to kind of overthink it, which I have with some previous trips. So the whole thing did feel very much
like an adventure. Like we were exploring and we really didn't know. Like we planned some stuff, but then we left time to just get in the car and drive because we wanted to be able to see where the road took us. And that's the part that I think I loved the most, was those moments that we were just out there unplanned. What are we going to see? Yeah.
Yeah. If you are intentional, I think, about slowing down and just kind of letting the day take, I mean, there's nothing wrong with like booking an excursion and being on time for all of that. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. But there's also moments where you need to be intentional about like, we're going to take our time here. We don't have anything planned beyond this. And just let's see what wilderness will come to us, what wildlife we'll see along the way, what adventures will be there waiting for us if we just slow down, take a breath, and just really just soak in being in the present. I know that sounds very like
it's true,
kumbaya or something like that.
I think when we go back, I want to do that even more, spend more time in each place, because I feel like we probably would have had an even better experience had we stayed even longer in every town we stopped in.
I do not disagree with you. Well, thank you so much to Alaska, our friends up there that we made along the way. And for Amy, I am Jeremy Long, and this is the Unscaled Travel Show. Check us out online, unscaledtravelshow.com. We'll see you guys next time.